Hello out there in woodworking nation land, amongst the woodworking enthusiasts. Welcome to a new year. It's a new year and a new t-shirt. I particularly like this one because I do work with a bunch of tools. My first project for 2020. New year, new shirt, new wood. This is blood wood. And I'm just building a little gate to keep my puppy segregated in part of the house. Not too fancy of a gate, and just a quick little project.
The first step was to joint an edge so that we have something to work from. One square edge. Always a good starting point. The next step, I actually cut the boards that I need to length. What this did is it made the pieces a lot more manageable. And because the board had a slight warp to it, and I needed to maintain the maximum thickness I possibly could, I elected to cut the strips before I ran them through the jointer to obtain a square and parallel face and edge. Not the normal process, but in order to maintain the maximum thickness I could, it was kind of a necessary step. And finally, running the pieces through the planer for final thickness.
You can kind of see the simple little vision that I got. It's not about being fancy. It's just about using blood wood and getting used to it. So I could do some fancy joinery in here, you know, tongue and groove and all the rest of that. But this is just a quick, simple little project. And I could spend days on all the joinery, but the old Festool domino will do the trick in 1/10 of the time. So we're going with the dominoes. Here we go with the cuts. Center it in the board, just like that. Just that simple. Perfectly centered, perfectly cut, perfectly repeatable every time. Domino goes in nice and slick. First attempt at cutting the holes in the top rails to accept the domino got a little sketchy, so I built myself a rig because I don't have the proper Festool one. Ta-da! That's the rig. How this works is basically I put a piece of tape exactly where I want the domino to be cut. So that's the cut line, and this is where the domino is going to end up. These two little pieces of wood here that are cut to an exact dimension are basically the spacers that connect into the spacers on the bottom or the face of the domino. There's the dry fit. Well, I hope the little dog doesn't fit through. Uh-oh, better measure.
All of the pickets and rails received a nice round over for aesthetics and to prevent splinters when we were handling the gate, opening and closing it.
We've got our headers. Here we got the footers, or back and forth, top rail, bottom rail. And we have all of the pickets. They've all been rounded. Everything has been dominoed, and then the top and all the rest of that. We're all ready for a glue up. Got the dominoes ready, got the clamps all ready in place. Got them all, my pickets all lined up. They're all numbered And today, I've gotten smart. We're going to be using Tight Bond Ultimate 3 because it has longer assembly time, so that Dan can take his time and not make a friggin' mess everywhere. Maybe a bit more glue in the holes. Oops, maybe too much glue in the holes. Ah, man. Made a mess already. Glue on the domino is probably a better answer. One B. One B. I should tell you a joke. Did you hear about the one about the horse that went in the bar? Bartender asked him, "Why such a long face?" Ba-da-ba. 4B. Ah, I knew that was going to happen. Bet you didn't think this was going to be a comedian show, did you? Quite frankly, neither did I. Okay, yeah, problem solved. Where was nice, tight fitting dominoes. One in. Shit, look at the glue come out. Oh, sorry YouTube, I swore again. Make sure everything is lined up nicely. Oh, that's beautiful. Pretty good. There you have it. Another edition of Dan's a Messy Boy. Glue. She's all glued up. Oh. We're fresh out of the clamps. We're all glued up. I've done some cleanup of the residual glue. So we're all ready to do some sanding on this thing. Festool Rotex RO125 FEQ sander is just phenomenal at leveling edges and taking major imperfections out very, very quickly. So this is pretty much the worst little lip that I've got left here, the worst imperfection on the whole thing. So let's just give it a whirl. I'll show you how quickly it rips this down. And that's it, completely leveled that lip. It was probably about a good 1/16 of an inch lip there, and it just knocked it down very easily, very quickly. I know, just like any project, we'll carry on sanding. I'm using these nifty little low profile hinges, and you see they kind of fit into each other. The first step in that process is to just mark out the hinge, exactly where it's going to fit. Okay, we got a profile there. I'll just mark out the edge of the shape of the hinge. I've set the depth on my portable router here, and I've also put a stop on there so that we go to the right depth on the material, and we're just going to make a very shallow cut to remove most of the material. Just for fit, come back, clean up what we need to clean up with the chisel. Don't attempt this at home. Never cut towards your body. Lovely bit of work. Just sits just a hair proud of the surface. Just what I wanted. Yeah, here we are with the Bloodwood child gate, okay, doggy gate, all mounted up, and it looks really good. I really enjoyed working with Bloodwood. Splinters a little bit, typical for hardwood. However, there was one problem with the design. You know that old saying about measure twice? Come here, puppy! Come on. Come on, buddy. Come on. Not very good for puppy containment. Back to the drawing board.
Yes, Dan, back to the drawing board, where I designed a couple of intersecting maple additions, which should contrast the bloodwood quite nicely, I think. So the first thing I did was I cut the boards to length. I created a face and an edge that were square on the jointer. I then planed the boards to a final thickness, which complemented the bloodwood gate. I cut the strips to a final dimension. And because these were going to be a picture frame style, I cut 45-degree miters in one end using my handy dandy sliding table on the table saw. The final length I achieved by using an angled stop blocks so that all of the pieces for my miters, my mitered square insert made of maple, were all the same.
So a little bit of glue. Man, one thing I have to give a shout out to Veritas too. Good Canadian company. Man, they make some really good quality equipment. It's all top-notch stuff. Now we're gluing up the second frame. All right, into the frames we go. Better. 2 inserts. That way? I think it's that way. Anyways, it'll look cool.
I wanted to create some bloodwood splines in the maple inserts that I was creating. So I cut them some very thin pieces of bloodwood to use for the spines on the table saw very carefully. And then using a jig that I created, I cut the grooves in the maple squares to accept the splines.
Splines all glued up in place on the big frame. The little frame, well, we had a little bit of separation and we had to do some re-gluing. Yeah, all the gluing's done. We got the little inserts all glued in place, sat overnight, should be good. We're gonna trim them off with a Japanese style trim saw. Kind of like doing this finish sanding bit, because you go from, oh my god, what have I done? That looks hideous, to, holy crap, that actually looks kind of good.
All of the maple inserts received the same round over treatment that the gate did for aesthetics and for ease of handling, so we don't get any splinters, or the dog doesn't get any splinters, although I assume he's going to chew on it at some point. Then in order to recess the maple inserts onto the gate, I cut rabbit faces in to mate with the gate pickets. Should be an interesting feature. And again, I started the sanding process.
Here we go, we're gonna glue it up. The main framework to the outer frame, the maple one anyways, and then finally the inner frame, because it all is fitting together well now. I got these marked out, pre-marked out, it's all pre-measured, and it should just go clunk right into place, just like that. Oh, my God, I'm good. There we go. That'll do that. And there it is, another funky glue up.
And here it is, the final product, now containing the terror that is known as Shamrock.
I really gotta get that miter saw bench built. That's this year's project. Oh, dog, what do you got? You're a terror.